Welcome to Sunday night, and as I explained to you last week, this is kind of the vehicle that I use to talk to everybody at least once a week, and maybe even more if I can squeeze it in. And it gives me a chance to look at what we looked at in the previous week's work, what the theme of the discussion has been about, what you can look forward to in the coming week, and also get any other announcements and information in front of you that I need to. And I'd like to apologize in advance because, of course, when I finally set up the video camera tonight, this is when my German Shepherd decides to pull out her bone and start chewing on it and maybe playing some bone hockey around the floor here. So if you hear some noise and crashing and crunching and everything, that's Liesel, the philosopher dog over there, trying to just make her presence known. So I guess it adds a little authenticity to our chat. But for the main purpose, looking back on last week and looking ahead to next. Last week was pretty much introductory. We kind of got to know who's who and what, and very interesting backgrounds that everybody has, and some very interesting ambitions that people have in terms of what you want to do with a degree in sport management. And also, I learned a lot about people's backgrounds and what your real interests are, specific interests are in sport, and hopefully maybe you learned a little bit about mine. I'm sitting here in one of my, the big tennis ball with the Post logo in the middle of it. The women's season starts next Sunday against Stonehill, so going into a pretty intense last week of practice. Sport's a huge part of my life, and I can see this with everybody else. Let's talk about a little bit about what people did put in the idea of what did you see as pressing issues. One of the things I noticed right away that hasn't been mentioned in a lot of previous classes was there was more mention in this class about issues of globalization, and let me tell you, it is huge. That's why I included some information, and I've included more already this week on value of franchises. We will look later in the course when we look at some of the European systems. We get a little insular with American sport. We have our big three, some say four. Some of us soccer guys even want to say a little bit that MLS is creeping up on the NHL, which it is. But we have our group of team sports that tend to dominate our thinking, with the exception of certain individual events like major golf tournaments. In my sport, the 4 major tennis tournaments people do pay attention to. But other than that, we're pretty much locked in when we look at sports business and what our general sport consciousness is about those big major sports. And of course, here we are about to embark on a new NFL season. And the NFL is, let's face it, it's the big dog. It's the one that people look at. It is the league that is acknowledged by many, not just in this country, but around the world, as maybe the best managed, although they have certainly done their best to not put their best foot forward on some issues in the past few months and year, and we'll look at that too. But we're going to look this week really hard at business of sport, sports franchises, sports teams as profit-making businesses. And you'll see in the way I phrased one of the discussion questions for this week, do you think that they're making money? Do you think that professional sports teams are making a lot of money? Or are they making a little? Are they really making a profit, or are they making money? And there's a difference, and I'll explain that to you later. Maybe not right in this video, but it's a theory I have, and I've talked to a lot of people about it. And I'll ask the question anyway. Would you rather make money or make a profit? Keep that in mind as you look at the material this week. But you can see there are several avenues we can take when looking at this from an economic point of view. Do you want to generate profit? Do you want to generate long-term value? Do you want to generate both? Do you want to balance the two? We ask a question this week of, do you think that profit maximization should be the ultimate goal of every professional sports franchise? Because when I've asked you to take that move that's hard for a lot of us to make and separate that sports fan in us from the sports analyst in us, the business analyst, it's hard to think about it in terms of anything other than wins and losses. But how important are wins and losses to the financial and economic success of a sports franchise? So these are the issues you want to look at. So this week, it's really chapter 2 introduces some things that I think you need to be familiar with. It's chapter 3, so I've included both the old PowerPoint and the new version, looking at the pro sports team as a profit maximizing business. And I'm very interested in how we think that a professional franchise should act. What should it do? What should its purpose be? Because it's going to branch out from here. It goes just beyond the profit maximization. Several of you talked in your discussion of issues about the value of a team to a community. It's a whole separate issue that we are really going to look at in depth that comes up just a little bit deeper into the course. This is the precursor work to that. So keep that in mind. People talked about, as I said, globalization. As always, ticket prices come up. And I've got a little bit of a piece in here for you. If you look at some graphs about the 4 major New York teams, take a look and see where their revenue comes from. See if that affects your thinking at all about how teams make their money and what it's all about, what the businesses are all about. Okay, so that's the look at it. I was really happy to see the quality and the enthusiasm with which people participated, and I think, as I said earlier, the discussion board is really where so much, if not the bulk of our learning, is going to come from. That this first week's start was pretty encouraging, and I'd just like to keep it up from there. If you do have any questions, please, obviously, get in touch with me. Email me. Email's the best way. This week that my outside life has finally calmed down and taken a big shift and a big change, I should even be more available. And that's a little comforting to me at this time. So really, thanks for everybody putting up with my dashing in and out this week. Like I said, it was a little bit tough outside there, but we got it done. You got it done. And I look forward to keeping up with you as we go ahead. So any questions, get them to me, and let's go forward. Thanks a lot.